My name is Kyoko Tracy Whalen. I'm doing my best as a novice host. And this morning, our talk is going to be given by Myo-O Habermas-Scherr. Her name means dragon's voice, subtle working. And she's been practicing Zen and Vipassana Buddhism for 45 years. She's also probably most important right now in her mind, a grandma, but she also is a retired chaplain, and she's also done dancing and choreography. She's trained in somatically based voice, and she was transmitted by Dokai Georgesen, and she's going to talk to us today about opening the door of lineage. So, Myo-O, you can unmute.
Hello.
Can everybody hear Myo-O? Go ahead and sing
Testing.
a little something.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear me okay? Good. Where's Dokai? I'm wondering.
He's in the background.
Hmm.
If I move this, I think he's behind me someplace. Dokai, can you see him?
Yes. He's all dressed up.
He dressed up for Zazen this morning.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is an interesting weekend for me because two of my Vipassana teachers who work as a couple are giving a retreat. They live in Hawaii. It's a short retreat. And it's Steve Armstrong and Kamala Masters. And Steve has been dealing with brain cancer for 3 years. He was supposed to be, they told him he had 4 months to live, and he's still teaching. So I just wanted to, any opportunity to receive his teaching at this point seemed really precious. So I'm kind of in the middle of a little bit of a retreat, which is wonderful, but they're in Hawaii, so it's 5 hours earlier or something. So it starts at noon, our time. So it's just been coming up for me, the various lineages that are in our lives and how much awe and gratitude I feel for them. So I just felt like sharing about that. And I also, I'm hoping we can have actually a conversation more that, at some point during this, rather than me just like giving this lecture. So that will, just so that you're open, I hope you're open to that. So later on, we'll do a little guided meditation on lineage and see if we can share with each other about it. Does that sound okay? Yeah, okay. So last weekend, I walked across the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, where my grandson lives. He lives in Brooklyn. And the Statue of Liberty can be seen in the harbor on the bridge. And like many of you, I have gone over to the island. I've seen her up close. I've walked up her stairs a long time ago. and I've seen her from across the water. And each time I see her, I feel my heart vibrate. It just vibrates. And so what is that? And I'm going to say it's the lineage of hope. It's the beckoning of a bodhisattva, that quality. One time I had a friend who had a art exhibit on the island. And so I took the ferry, and on that ferry was everyone from all over the world getting off the ferry to go see the Statue of Liberty. And I just started to cry. That's that bodhisattva vibration. So Jasper, that's my grandson, he's 3, and he asked me, why does the lady hold the light, Grandma Yo-Yo? Now, he's not really asking me a profound question because he's 3, but it is a profound question. He's probably more thinking about the flashlight I gave him. But I told him, the light helps the sad and scared people know where to go to be safe. So he just kind of looked at me, and then he started running around in circles. Or we could say maybe lineage is Ariadne's thread leading us out of the labyrinth of samsara. I know I've spoken before about the power of ancestral lineage in my talks, and I decided to look up the word in the dictionary. You know, that's always fun. What does the dictionary say? And it said, lineal descent from an ancestor or pedigree, ancestry or pedigree. It said, a sequence of species, each of which is considered to have evolved from its predecessor. And the last one said, a sequence of cells in the body, which developed from a common ancestral cell. I loved all those definitions. So I want to kind of move into that a little bit. So in my music room in my house, on the back of the door, I have a large poster of all the Zen ancestors. Mostly the women are missing from that poster, I'll just say. So when we take lay ordination or priest ordination, one of the things we receive is our lineage papers. So we get these papers and they're all folded up in a really special way. I'm just going to disappear myself so I can just see you. Oh, much better. Okay. They're folded up in a special way, and they kind of legitimize our place in that line at the bottom of the list. And in these papers, and by taking our vows, we are placed in that line and gifted with the effort and the insight of everyone before us in a kind of formal way. Like we're always gifted with that, whether we get papers or not papers. But it's kind of like getting married when you've lived together for 12 years. There's something about that formality, something in the energy. We also chant the lineage of our ancestors in the morning service. We come from a long line of practitioners, vowers, hopers, and intenders. And so that mutuality kind of holds us up, that we can continue. It helps with our energy, our virya, to continue. We can lean back into all those beings who have walked this way already. So hopefully we can talk about this together a little bit. I thought about the locations of lineage. For instance, music. Maybe some of you have studied music. I don't know what kind of music you might have studied. Maybe the ukulele, kikan. Ali Akbar Khan, who is an incredible tabla player and teacher, I heard him say once, it takes 500 years to make a musician. I remember sobbing when I heard that. It, you know, like when you hear something true, it just goes through, right through my heart. When I was a child, I took piano lessons from my long-suffering teacher, Mrs. Long. And I maybe I had ADD or something, but I really had a hard time sitting still, which is kind of funny now. So poor Mrs. Long. One time she made me count to 30 because I was just so jumping around. Anyway, she had busts of Bach and Mozart and Beethoven on the piano. Maybe you also experienced something like this. So they were the holders of the lineage, right? Of the music that I was studying. So they were in the room. Poor Bach, poor Mozart, poor Beethoven. Were in the room with us. Yeah. So when I hear beautiful Western music or classical music or jazz or indigenous music or rock and roll, I'll just say that, oh dear, Jodo is educating me. Jodo from Colorado, our brother, he is educating me on rock and roll. He's my rock and roll guru. So I'm getting turned on to Bruce Springsteen from him. And I noticed this wave of amazement and gratitude washing through me for the lineage, right? That brought this moment of this music here. All the hearing, sensing, discerning courage that made something out of the enormous nothing that is everywhere. It's so knock your socks off, beautiful. So inspiration is lineage. And then dance. I've been dancing since I was could walk, kind of. And when I was 7, I took my first dancing lessons with Mrs. Lipson. And it wasn't ballet or anything like that. And I remember having this feeling of gratitude to her when I got a little older, you know, like 12 or something. And I wrote her a thank you note. So that feeling of appreciation and gratitude, that's also lineage. And it's so natural that even a 12-year-old, you know, can have that feeling and express it. So later on, I studied modern dance professionally in many of the lineages in that field. So each lineage is headed by a teacher, discoverer of a way to approach movement, art, and life. So it was really deep. For instance, maybe you've heard of some of these people, maybe not. Martha Graham, Eric Hawkins, Merce Cunningham, Hanya Holm, Nikolai and Mary Lewis, and they're all from the Bauhaus. And that work influenced a range of artists, including Meredith Monk, David Byrne, who's a musician, and Anna Halprin, who just died this month at age 100. Maybe you heard of her work in California. So the inspiration and richness of what all these artists and teachers offer us is also lineage. And then karma. So the cellular conditioning that we all arrive with as babies continues to unfold, right? That's what we see with our awareness. If it's not recognized, that karma just continues to play out willy-nilly throughout our lives. But it also can be transformed into wisdom. And so this ancestral lineage is a powerful doorway to unraveling the stories and the karmic knots that we carry, which construct our identities, which can be non-liberating or liberating. They can be liberated. So our practice can uncover the power of these stories that we carry and bring those patterns to healing. In 1994, I made a journey to Kyiv in Ukraine and also Budapest and Tapolca in Hungary. Tapolca is just a little town on Lake Balaton where my grandmother was born. So I met my ancestral karma there. I recently heard an African-American Dharma teacher named Devin Berry talk about going specifically and intentionally to meet his ancestral karmic lineage on the plantations where he thinks his ancestors worked and were enslaved. He highly recommended meeting your ancestral lineage. In 1996, the distillation of that work that I did by visiting Hungary and Kyiv in Ukraine came alive on stage in a collaborative theater piece called Bridge of Stones. So healing is the lineage of karma. Healing. And then wisdom. So before I took the path of ordination in 2000, I started studying Zen with Katagiri Roshi in 1975. 25 years later, I took ordination in 2000. And I was asked to give 3 reasons for ordaining. And one of the reasons I gave was this. I wanted to enter a path that was time tested by thousands who went before me, so that it wasn't just like a willy-nilly having openings or, bopping around. I wanted something true and that was supportive. And I wanted this pathway to have legs, so to say. So the legs, literally and figuratively, are lineage. And one of the preparations for this priest ordination was to do a bowing practice to all of the ancestors on our list every day, which I did. And one day, just spontaneously, at the end of that practice, I began to cry. And in my inner ear, I heard this voice. I heard the women ancestors calling me, saying, go all the way. Do it for us. Give us a voice. I don't know what's going on there, I don't know. It just was happening. But it was really powerful. So like opening that door to lineage, it's mutual. The door was open and the voices arose. And luckily I could hear them. That was such a blessing. that I put a card on the altar when I got ordained for, that ceremony. I put a card for all my sisters. So listening and encouragement is lineage. Later in 2006, Dokai offered to do the Shuso ceremony for and with me at Hokyoji, which we did. He didn't ask anything of me at that time. So I was at Hokyoji doing a practice period or something. And one evening during that time, as I went to sleep, I saw or felt or whatever, like a waterfall in front of me. And I realized that I needed to stand in that waterfall. I needed to stand in that stream. And then I realized, oh, in order to stand in that stream, it was required of me that I ask to stand in that stream. I had to ask. So I heard in my mind the words, you have to ask. It was requisite that the heart become vulnerable and humble, and that it make a request. And so I did that. I was terrified, as I remember, but I made that request of Dokai. So requesting is lineage. So now I want to talk about instability. Up on the Canadian border, maybe some of you have been to Gunflint Lake up on the Canadian border in Minnesota. I don't know where y'all from. Some of you, I don't know. So Gunflint Lake's about 9 miles long and a mile wide. So the mile wide is Canada's on the other side. On the east end of the lake, there's a beautiful and large waterfall about 100 yards across, and it rises up about 75 feet from the stream bed, and it's called Bridal Falls. And I read that the magma event that created the falls happened 1 billion years ago. That's really blew my mind. So one hot summer day, after canoeing about 2 miles and then walking into the falls, I hiked up the falls to a ledge with my tennis shoes on which you could perch on this ledge, and the water from above just crashed into you, crashed into your shoulders. It was really powerful. And you were kind of high up above the stream bed. It was a very interesting experience. There was like no gap where you could step aside and say, wow, this is amazing. You know what I mean? It just no end to it. So there wasn't a way to grasp the experience. The only thing that could happen was a deep bellied howl, which I did. Up there. My husband took a picture of me. Just to meet the moment with the whole body, mind moment. That's all. And I remember that for about 7 hours after that, I was just kind of high. It was wonderful. So lineage is like this, no gap, hugely dynamic and unstable. Unstable. I think that's important because like when we do our Zen ceremonies, it looks pretty damn stable, right? You know, like we're bowing and we're wearing our outfits and we're chanting and we're doing everything a very particular way. But actually, it's a waterfall, hugely unstable, 1 billion years of magma. So whatever I might think about the lives of the people who came before me on the lineage list, Their lives were completely unreliable and dynamic, just like ours. Maybe they even got on that list by stealth, like Jacob and Esau. We don't know, right? And also, like, where are the women? So it came to me that the women are secretly in between and woven all around the men's names. And our friend Byakurin made a beautiful intertwining circlet of the women ancestors one time, and she offered it to all the priests at the Soto Zen Buddhist Association conference one year. Also, lineage is precious. Wisdom teachings are precious and often hidden. And, you know, that's not only in our tradition that they're hidden. Many traditions, the wisdom teachings are hidden. The teachings, so this I got from online, the teachings, the secret teachings of the Prajnaparamita were said to have been given to the Nagas for safekeeping under the ocean for when the time was right. And then it said that the Nagas, who are a serpent-human hybrid, the Nagas gave them to the philosopher monk Nagarjuna about 200 CE. These sacred texts on the true nature of reality became fundamental to Mahayana Buddhism. So this nature of non-inherent existence is a teaching that modern science is only beginning to understand in the 20th century. I love this line. Yet, all those years ago, this information appeared to have been embedded in the image of a serpent-human hybrid. That is wild. There's a lot of stories like this, you know, where, no, that teaching's not yet, not for you, not yet. Dogen said, it is rare to practice what is rare. Dokai quotes that often in my memory. In the Jewish tradition, the passing of the Torah scroll containing the secret teachings for life is handed from one generation to the next, l'dor v'dor, with hope that the precious teachings will be protected, appreciated, used, and realized. So what we practice and study, realize, and embody have been carried to us from our teachers and their teachers through every sort of circumstance imaginable. We are linked with them in a line dance, hand to hand, mind to mind, heart to heart. We traverse time and space together, from the Buddha and his teachers before him, from Nepal through India, Southeast Asia, China, Tibet, Korea, Japan, and points west to us. Lineage is realizing what is just before us. The whole chain is illuminated. So at this point, I would like to offer to do a little guided meditation on lineage with you guys, and then we can share a little bit and unmute. Would that be okay? Are you open to that? Yeah, okay. So let yourself be comfortable. Find your seat, wherever you want to sit. Kikan has disappeared into a little Japanese garden. Yeah. So just comfortably sitting, breathing into your belly. Into your ribs. And then breathing in and out of the heart. And then bringing the breath just to the third eye, the pineal gland, breathe in there. I mean, not the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, breathe there. And then just go to the very top of your head, the pineal gland area. And just inviting any knowing of your own lineages, however that appears to you at this moment. If nothing comes up, just rest. It's okay. You might become aware of what gifts are there. You might become aware of what gifts you wish to give to whatever comes up. What's there for that? If perchance you are moved to, then just offer thanks. And then I would invite you to unmute and just share with all of us together. What was there? What did you notice? Maybe we could all unmute together for a minute here. Kikan-san.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to say here, but I thought I'd go for it anyway. So forgive me if this sounds a bit rough. My own reflections on lineage always seem a bit distant. This is a kind of a challenging area for me. So I really, and this is another area where I'm not sure what I'm going to say. Thank you for your talk, by the way. There were many interesting threads there that I would love to pick up on, but I'm not sure I know how. But reflecting on what you said about hidden wisdom, it seems to me like the wisdom, yeah, it really is hidden sometimes. Sometimes it's a little too hidden. I wonder. So this might fall into the well. Maybe I'll stop there and ask another question later because I don't want to get off the rails here. I think I'll let other people share their experiences. Thank you.
So we're just sharing about the meditation we just did.
Yeah.
If you care to.
This is Sherry Lovett, Jisho from St. Louis.
Hi.
I sit at Confluence with Daigaku Rumi. When I took lay precepts, and I remember placing my certificate on my home altar, and that profound awareness of all those names and the awareness of its flow through me. I'd always had a sense of Dogen sitting in this balcony up behind my head. And after precepts and in that moment, and again, as the previous person said, it's a little awkward talking off the top of my head, but I had that profound feeling of that oneness with that lineage and profound gratitude. And I'll just stop there.
Thank you. Dan, did you want to say something?
Yeah. My older brother, he's like 5 years older than I am. He's just now retired. And part of his retirement, he's begun to look into our ancestry. So just this weekend, he sent me some pictures, which is what pretty much came up during that meditation, of pictures from like the 1880s of the Fryer family, the Warnke family, my grandmother's family. And it's pretty obvious these people had really hard lives. I feel such a wimp compared to the lives that these people lived. And it's like, I don't know, some of those people turned out to be kind of nasty and bitter and angry because of how hard their lives were. And others were just turned into just the kindest people with great senses of humor. And it's just interesting. And your thing about going up north, there's places where I go up north where it's pretty obvious that the rocks are very, very old. And you can see the glacier scrapings on those places. And I just love to sit there and just think back that somehow I'm alive in this era when things happened 1 billion years ago. And I'm sitting on rocks that were 1 billion years old, that were scraped 10,000 years ago by glaciers. It's just part of a vast history. And then these pictures kind of bring it in because I know some of those people in those pictures. So there's just this kind of vastness that seems so worthwhile to bring into our lives.
Mary, did you want to say something?
You know, I'm not sure I can very much. I really appreciate your your words this morning, and I appreciate the comments, and specifically with the meditation. A couple things came up. And it all, you know, and brought tears for me, and really profound emotion. It's emotion that's always kind of right there at the surface, because for me, lineage is in a really close way, my dad, who basically saved me when I was a kid. And so I'm eternally grateful for him and the life that he gave to me. The second thing is the hardships that people who came to this country, my family, experienced, but more so for me in this past year, being an American and really grappling with our history of lineage, in some really sad and difficult ways, that now I'm just really understanding later in my life, that I just simply didn't get for a long time. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to just talk about what came up from the little guided meditation? Okay. So I'll just, I'm going to read a poem in a minute, and then we'll be done. Then we can talk. So lineage, I want to say, is the confidence of the Mahasangha. And I'm going to conclude with a poem. It's a little bit long, by Joy Harjo. It's called A Map to the Next World for Desiree Kiera Chi. In the last days of the fourth world, I wish to make a map for those who would climb through the hole in the sky. My only tools were the desires of humans as they emerged from the killing fields, from the bedrooms and the kitchens. For the soul is a wanderer with many hands and feet. The map must be of sand and can't be read by ordinary light. It must carry fire to the next tribal town for the renewal of spirit. In the legend are instructions on the language of the land, how it was we forgot to acknowledge the gift, as if we were not in it or of it. Take note of the proliferation of supermarkets and malls, the altars of money. They best describe the detour from grace. Keep track of the errors of our forgetfulness. The fog steals our children while we sleep. Flowers of rage spring up in the depression. Monsters are born there of nuclear anger. Trees of ashes wave goodbye to goodbye, and the map appears to disappear. We no longer know the names of the birds here, or how to speak to them by their personal names. Once we knew everything in this lush promise. What I'm telling you is real and is printed in a warning on the map. Our forgetfulness stalks us, walks the earth behind us, leaving a trail of paper diapers, needles, and wasted blood. An imperfect map will have to do, little one. The place of entry is the sea of your mother's blood, your father's small death, as he longs to know himself in another. There is no exit. The map can be interpreted through the wall of the intestine, a spiral on the road of knowledge. You will travel through the membrane of death, smell cooking from the encampment where our relatives make a feast of fresh deer meat and corn soup in the Milky Way. They have never left us. We abandoned them for science. And when you take your next breath as we enter the fifth world, there will be no X, no guidebook with words you can carry. You will have to navigate by your mother's voice, renew the song she is singing. Fresh courage glimmers from planets and lights the map printed with the blood of history. A map you will have to know by your intention, by the language of suns. When you emerge, note the tracks of the monster slayers, where they entered the cities of artificial light and killed what was killing us. You will see red cliffs. They are the heart, contained the ladder. A white deer will greet you when the last human climbs from the destruction. Remember the hole of shame, marking the act of abandoning our tribal grounds. We were never perfect, yet the journey we make together is perfect on this earth, who was once a star and made the same mistakes as humans. We might make them again, she said. Crucial to finding the way is this: there is no beginning or end. You must make your own map.
So thank you so much, Myo-O. I'm sure that comes from all of us. And now just for a few announcements, and then we'll do the great vows, which if you don't know them are in the chat box.
Just a second, Kyoku. I just wondered if anyone had something to say
Well,
before.
we're out of time for something to say.
Oh, we're out of time. Okay. So
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry about that.
I'm just trying to respect our time. We can always change the amount of time we say we're taking, but not today.
Okay.
But we can also just stay online. So if somebody is wanting to have a further conversation, we can do that. So briefly, the announcements are that next Sunday, which is June 20th, we'll receive a talk by Kosen Aaron. And this is for him what I would call a way-seeking talk that's entitled The Great Turning. On Saturday, June 19th, as you may already know, having received an email, we are encouraging people to join us so that we can prepare the residence, which we've been refurbishing for a large number of people coming this summer. Yay. And it's still a lot of hard work. And so we really appreciate anybody that can come and be with us. And of course, we'll feed you. And then you will also receive this evening a June appeal. And we have a matching grant for $5,500. And we're hoping that we can encourage not only everybody's to give to, so we can fulfill that match, but also that we can get everyone to give something. however large or small, but only if it gives you joy. So having said that, I think we can now close with our great vows. So here we go. Om. Wait a minute. Numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it.